I'm Mrs. Sheffield, and I want to share with you my thoughts about what I learned in college versus what I really should have learned in college. And being in the classroom for 15 years, I've learned over time, thankfully sooner rather than later, but definitely some things that I wish I would have known before. So I love the shirt first, love first, teach second, because that is my philosophy. You cannot teach until you love. Okay, sure you can. Sure you can. But I want my kids to first know that they're loved, then they're gonna want to learn and to be able to be taught. So anyways, I just made a little reel about how in college I learned how to teach. That's what they teach you. You learn how to write lesson plans, you learn the important components to lesson plans, you learn about standards, you learn about expectations, you learn about how to form the best unit, starting with the end in mind. I mean, I remember all these great things of how to teach. Then you learn content and phonics and phonemic awareness and writing and content skills. And the crazy thing is, I didn't remember most of it. Okay, I had to relearn information because what I learned in college was like over top my head, and I didn't even understand phonics when I was teaching. So I actually, in 5th grade, I just taught the programs, and then when I went to kindergarten, I was like, what's the difference between phonics and phonemic awareness? And then as I learned and studied, I was like, oh, I bet I learned this back in college. I totally forgot. That's just how it goes. But that's not what I'm here to share with you today. Today, I want to share with you what I didn't learn in college and I should have. So I learned all the content, I learned the lessons, I learned how to manage a classroom as best as you can learn how to do that with ideas and things like that, strategies. Definitely helpful, but for me, it's not what I should have known from the beginning. And that, to me, is the most important thing. So I'm going to share with you my secret, my teaching philosophy. I don't know how you say it, but I'm going to share with you what you need to have learned in college before you started teaching. And this is just my opinion. You might disagree with me as a teacher, as an experienced teacher, as a new teacher, someone who's not even in the classroom. You might not agree. This is up to me. This is my opinion on the subject, so I get to share it because it's my video. So here we go. Something that I didn't learn in college was to teach for the child, not to the child. You learn how to teach this, and this, and how to do this, and this. But you don't learn about each child, and you don't learn that you're teaching for the children, not at them. We're not throwing them information. And I literally joke about that in my classroom. I will say, I can't just take it out of my brain and put it in your brain. You're gonna have to try, you're gonna have to put in the effort, blah, 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 right? That's teaching to the child. When you stand up there and you just go, you read the program, you read the list, you do what you're supposed to, and you just dun, 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 check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. You are teaching to the child. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about teaching for the child. And it took me a few years to realize this is my classroom. I am the queen bee of this classroom. I am the president. I get to make those decisions. Now, granted, the district has rules and admin has rules and things like that. But for the most part, I can make my lessons the way I want to. For the most part, this isn't around the world. And let's be honest here, I do what I think is best for my students. So, okay, anyways, let me go back to my subject, teaching for the child. Instead of just throwing information at the child, okay, that's not what we're there for. Instead, we want them to grasp it. We want them to want it. We want them to think about it. We want them to understand it. We want them to enjoy it. All those things come into play. But for me, teaching for the child is paying attention to each individual child. Some will learn the exact way you teach. Got it. Easy. But there are some who won't. There will be some students who don't understand, who struggle, who feel like a failure, who want to give up, who's already been told that they couldn't do things. And you have to help them change that mindset. You have to help them see that they can, because you are going to make the effort to teach for them, not for the whole class, but make it work for them. Let me give you some examples from my teaching experience. My first year teaching, so basically I was teaching full day. This was right after college. I was teaching all day, and then I had a nighttime job. Anyways, so I had a couple students. I had a Hispanic little girl and 2 other boys that really struggled academically. And I was doing what I was told in college. I was being a teacher that just did what all teachers do. And what I mean by that is, here's your worksheet, you do your worksheet. Okay, I tried to make those worksheets fun by, you can sit on the floor, you can work with a partner, you can use colored pencils, this is a creative way to do it, blah, blah, blah. So I was trying to make those lessons and that learning good. So this is in 4th grade. What I was doing was I was giving them the worksheet, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with having that in 4th grade. They need to be able to practice those math skills. Well, I have some students that would speed through it super fast because they got the content, they got it. And then I had some students who I would work with and try to reteach them and get them to practice and over again. And then we just didn't have time. And so I was like, okay, take it home and finish it as homework. It wasn't anything extra, it was just the regular assignment that they were finishing at home. Well, they would go home and have no one to help them, because their parents worked just to survive and pay for things for their family, and their parents were exhausted by the time they got home, or their parents spoke Spanish and couldn't help them. And there's this, and this, and all the reasons why they weren't getting that help at home. And as a first-year teacher, I was like, why is this not, like, doesn't this matter to you, blah, blah. I want them to be successful. How can I help them be successful? Well, I did what I thought was best. I couldn't do an after-school program, which is what I wanted to do. So I had parent permission, no go crazy on me here. I had parent permission. I picked them up. Well, I didn't pick them up, they were after school. I had to go immediately to my next job. So I took them to the call center where I worked as a supervisor, and they worked in the faculty lounge, and they did their math there, and I went in, checked on them, helped guide them through it in between work. I just would run in, sneak, do you need help? Let me tell you how to do this, blah, blah, and things like that. And then after that time frame that we had, packed them back in my car. I took my dinner break. Even though it wasn't a dinner break, I took those kids back to their individual houses. And I thought I was doing the very best I could for them as a teacher. I wanted them to be successful. It's how I felt I could, because I didn't want to keep giving them failing grades because they weren't getting the help at home and they weren't getting those assignments done. I was doing what I was taught. You give an assignment, they do the assignment, or they get a bad grade. And I couldn't handle that. It just didn't sit with me. So I was trying everything I could to help them be successful. And that was one of the things I did. And I remember those fun little drives. These were cute little kids that they just needed a little extra time and help and support. And I got to spend time outside of class with them. And nowadays you can't do that. Nowadays you can't drive kids around and things like that. But I worked in a small town in Idaho and had parent permission, and I absolutely loved that little time. We chatted in the car together, and then I was able to help them with their assignments so they weren't failing. Now, to me, I thought I was doing a great job as a teacher. I was trying really hard to help them succeed. Now that I've taught for a few years, I've learned so much. As the queen bee, as the president of my classroom, I get to decide things. And I have learned that sometimes you don't have to do the whole dang worksheet. Okay, this kid can do 10 problems like that. Cool. What they can do in that math time is not what this kid can do. This kid can get 2 of those problems done instead of the 10. You have to work with each child to figure out what's best for them. And that took me a few years to figure out that as a teacher, I have that right. I don't have to require that they finish the whole worksheet. I don't have to require that they don't have a resource to help them be successful. I want them to be successful in my classroom. I'm going to provide them with the resources. I'm going to modify the assignment. I'm going to accommodate their needs to help them be successful. And that's something I didn't learn in college, and maybe they do now, who knows? But back when I was in college, which was a while ago, I didn't learn that, and it took me time to learn that. So my message today is to help teachers understand that you get to decide what is going to be best for your students in your classroom. Granted, there will be requirements and things like that, but consider each child. Are you going to teach to the child and just spit things out at them and require this, this, and this? Or are you going to help them learn and develop? Mostly, are you going to help them with accommodations? Are you going to modify their assignments? How can you help each child feel successful in your classroom? Because that's what we really want. We want students to leave our class feeling successful, not feeling as a failure. And by teaching for each child, you're going to help them with that. And so that's my message today, is to teach for the child, not to the child. Do everything in your power to help them be successful, because you can. You get those choices. That's what's nice about having your classroom. And for those of you that feel you are stuck, reach out. Maybe I can help come up with brainstorm ideas, but I hope that you can see how important it is for you to not follow the teacher path. You don't have to do what teachers do. You can do what you feel is best for your students in their lives at that time, because you know them more than anyone.